Okay, welcome everybody to our Healy training. We now have a lot of us who have our Healys and a lot of us who are expectantly waiting. So we're going to talk about some of the things that I'm seeing from a doctor's perspective that can be scary for some folks. And I want it to be, so you're well trained, and we are going to make sure our group is well trained. And folks, Michael and I have great goals for you and great excitement for you ahead as our team is exploding. And we're exploding all over the United States because of your hard work. And we just really, really appreciate that. And we want to support you and help you to have the very best experience possible with your Healy. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to start with one of the most important things that I see is, let's see if we can do it. Okay, one of the important things that we really, really have to be biting our tongues and helping to understand is the difference between allopathic medicine and energy medicine. Because if we get out there and we are already making a presence in the United States, we are already making a presence in the medical community. I've gotten more emails from people who've had open doors with doctors than I have ever seen with any product that I've ever used and any system that I've ever used. So the doctors are open to it, and they see that they have a need, and they see the professionalism and the power of this. So you want to keep your verbiage right, and we will send you these, and we will also put them on the page that Michael is developing for our team only as a resource page for you to have a website to go to and to send people to get trained. And these kind of training videos will appear on there, so they can go right there. And again, also, you don't have to keep them in your computer. So the first thing we want to talk about in allopathic versus energy is, in allopathic, which is the drug, the medicine, is you talk about a cure. In energy medicine, we talk about a balance. So we don't ever talk about, well, am I going to get a cure? Am I going to have, no. Okay, I hear very often, well, will it work for this? Will it work for that? And what they're really asking is, do you have any cures for the Healy for these things? And the answer is no, because the Healy doesn't cure anything. It's just a balance of the energy. Now, in allopathic, we talk about a disease crisis. A disease crisis is a disease name. Inflammation, diabetes, arthritis, constipation, those are all the name of the disease crisis. And they can be, it's when your body is deteriorating and it's going the wrong direction. In natural medicine or in energy medicine, what we have is, if we have symptoms, we have a healing crisis. And already I'm seeing in my practice and with the people I'm working with, right now I'm dealing with very, 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 very severe PTSD and using the Healy, and we're doing a brain camp right now for that. So I'm learning along the way and developing a protocol for that. But we're seeing and have seen some healing crisis, not a disease crisis, but good things. So sometimes when there's an imbalance and it's balancing, the body will rise up like an explosive diarrhea, or we'll go into that more in detail, or like an explosive anger, or just sadness, or not feeling very energetic. Now, in allopathic, we see treatments, and in natural energy, we see sessions. So I want you to be extremely careful about your words. Let's not talk about Healy treatments. Let's talk about Healy sessions. And, you know, we're not going to slap your hand or anything. We're all learning. We're all in the same boat of having we're all steeped in the allopathic words. And so we're going to keep training you in the natural words. Now, in the allopathic, we talk about diagnosis and an ailment. And again, people always say, well, will it work for this? Will it work for this? Will it work for this? And those are ailments and diagnosis. And what we want, somebody's phone is ringing. So I think I'm going to mute
Yes,
everybody. Is that yours, Michael?
yes, I am.
Okay. So with natural, we have signs, symptoms, and imbalances. So, okay, you may have the signs of bowels not moving. You may have the signs of abnormal tissue. You may have the symptoms of fatigue or severe sadness. But we want to use them as symptoms, and we don't want it like for Lyme disease, for example. We would say tick-borne illness. And for cancers, we would say abnormal tissue or delta cells. So we want to stay away from crossing the line. And we want to protect this Healy because we want it around for a lot of years. And then that brings us to the next couple things that are very common. And people, you know, the FDA has gone and the medical board has gone after now when we use the word depression. We cannot say this will help depression. They consider that diagnosis and prescribing, and we can't do that. But we can say this will help balance your sadness. Try again not to use the medical term. And cancer, there's a lot of people already that I have that are using this for their delta cells and abnormal cells. Will it cure? No, it will not cure anything, but it will help balance the cells. And how fast that will happen will depend on not just the Healy, but some other things that I'm going to teach you about. Then things like anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar, we know that this is cleared, FDA cleared for stress. Well, in some other countries, they can use these words, but we can't here. So we don't want to say this is going to help your anxiety, your panic attacks, but you can say it will help your emotional imbalances. And then we want to, allopathic focuses on the physical aspects and the test. Oh, what's the test? Prove to me. What's my diagnosis? I can't tell you how many times I've heard people who won't go into the alternative and the natural medicine because they have to have a diagnosis. They have to know what's wrong. And in the natural, with many of our frequency devices and our energy tools, we don't have a diagnosis. We don't know, but we know where the energy's off and we know how to balance it. So what we're focusing on is the balance of their spirit, soul, and body. And that's why this program is so phenomenal with the emotions. And what we're doing in our camp right now is we're putting staff and the participants on the emotional programs, which are the Bach remedies, the Bach flower remedies, the Alaskan flower, and the Australian. And boy, are they fun. You just, less is better, so you don't want to vibrate them more than a minute or so. And then we'll do that a couple times a day. And it just helps balance out the emotions. Then in the allopathic, it's one drug for this problem. And you look for, well, where's my, okay. And sometimes people with a lot of problems end up being on 10 drugs or so. And what's happening is they're fighting each other and they're going, you know, they're creating more problems. They may have one for their bladder. They may have one for their heart. They may have one for their memory. And you know, the circle going on and on. So what we do in the natural is we have different frequencies for those with the same problem, and it's totally individualized. For example, if you have, let's say, a bladder problem, let's say you have a memory problem, let's say you have a heart problem, let's say you have a liver problem, you have all those problems going on. Well, we have programs that in the resonance, it will find what do you need first? What's the top of the pile? Like Michael was explaining, you know, he has some issues that he thought, well, maybe I should go there because that's where I feel the problem. But the body was saying, no, go over here. Because if you're not trained in this, you don't know, well, okay, you've got to have the detox first, open up those organs, and then allow the other organs to work. So the Healy does that automatically for you. Now, in traditional allopathic, we focus on symptoms. Well, with this, we're focusing on not symptoms and not the disease part. We're focusing on how can we raise your vibration in your mind and body? And when we do that, the symptoms begin to go away. Allopathic uses chemistry. What we're using is the vibrations and the voltage and the quantum. And the allopathic focuses on the causes, like what microbe? I've got to find, got to know what that is. I got to know if it's genetic, if it's parasites, if it's a microbe, if it's a chemical, if it's a toxin. Well, in the natural realm, the illness is produced by imbalances in the energy field. And I was telling you the other day about pork and how I believe it causes parasites. And I did a program and I just muscle tested to find the frequency in the program that had parasites. Well, it would make sense. It was an intestinal program, and ran that program on myself after I was fed pork and didn't want to make a scene about it. So that was a neat way to be able to use the energy science and work with my energy field to get rid of that imbalance. Now, what we see in allopathic, it suppresses the symptoms. Drugs never heal, chemicals never heal. But what we have with what we have, and this is why it's so exciting, is we have it balances and removes the symptoms. When you have balance, you don't suppress them. You absolutely are going to remove them because they are not just suppressed, they're gone. Now, on the allopathic, we foster the chemical dependence and side effects. So when people feel better on drugs, now, you know, I had an accident a year ago and I was on heavy painkillers and, you know, blood thinners and everything I fought in my life, I had to have, because some of it, they just said, you know, you have to do this. And some of it I was begging for because the pain was so bad. Well, it didn't foster my healing. I had to come back and do detox, and I had to come back and get those chemicals out of there. But at the time, it was fine. But it gave me side effects. I got toxic liver, you know, and I got toxic cells from it. And in the Healy and the energy side of it, it fosters healing, and you're going to be getting rid of those toxins. And in the allopathic, you're just pushing diseases deeper. And that's why people, when they are in the allopathic, as they get my age and older, in their 70s and 80s and 90s, if they live that long, they don't have a hope of getting healthier. They're only getting worse. But what we're seeing in the natural is that we're seeing people like Michael getting better. We're seeing people that are, you know, moving into their 70s, 80s and above, and they're getting healthier. And that's why his friend who's in his 80s is using the Healy, and he's able to walk faster and cut off minutes in his time because he's actually able to improve his body. And then, of course, with allopathic, we focus on one organ or one system. And you know how that goes. Okay, go see the specialist. Well, I have an earache, or I have a pain in my back. Well, you know, go see a neurologist, go see a kidney specialist. And you're jumping from one doctor to the next, and they're feeding you drugs, and the other one's feeding you drugs, and none of them are matching. They're kind of just treating symptoms for what's going on. So we don't want to have that happening. And we are very, very blessed to have this be available for us. I'm just, oops. Okay, I'm just muting everybody again. Okay, so Michael, do you have any comments on that? Since you have to unmute. And I'm going to not share anymore. Stop share.
Okay, basically, obviously I'm totally in sync with that, because what is so incredible about our system is it really analyzes the body and it tells you what you should do. I wanted to do one thing, the analyzer wanted to do another, and of course the analyzer was right and I was wrong. And so this combination that we have of the whole program is just absolutely incredible.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Every day I am in just such excitement and such awe, where I start in the morning before I get out of bed and I put my Healy on. And I don't have it here, I have it running. But I don't use the wires because I tend to twist myself up. So I just clip it to my pajama collar and use it that way because it works. It's reading my body and it's sending it to my body. And it's just so wonderful to say, okay, do I have some little aches and pains when I wake up? Before I wake up, they're gone. And, you know, if I don't have my emotional things going right, then I can do an emotional program. It's just so fun. And when I know a lot of you don't have your Healys yet, but a lot of you do. And I'm going to address for 1 minute the question that I know a lot of you want to ask. And that's why we're not taking questions from you, because we want to have this be clean and sharp for those that come later. you want to know how to work your Healy and how to work your resonance. And we've all gone through the ups and downs of that. And I sent you today, everybody who's on my mail list, step by step to setting up your Healy, and using all the watch, using the nutrition program, using the resonance program, and using the Healy advisor. And we, as you listen to those and work with those, and after you listen to those and you do all the steps, if you have a problem, that's when you call Michael, because I'm not as good as he is. He's good on that. I'm good on the other end. And so we're working together on that. So now I'm going to address the other part that I'm getting a lot of just personal experience with. And I know that as my people start, as you all start getting your Healys, you're going to have this too. So we're going to go share screen again, and we're going to go to signs of detox. Okay, so with detox, I want to help you understand what this is, because you're going to see it, and I may have missed some, and I'll probably update this. But I've had some myself, maybe some of you who have your Healy have had this, and I want you to be aware, and maybe you want to print this out and put a plastic cover on it and say, oh, I'm feeling this, or explain it to somebody that may have a Healy experience and, you know, have one of these symptoms, or several of them. Unexplained anger, where they just blow up, like, where'd that come from? That can be a detox if it's not a normal pattern. Aches and pains. Back pain, usually in the kidney area, means the kidneys are congested and you're not drinking enough water. Another one is chest pain or chest congestion. This was where I started to go with my detox in the beginning, because I tend to have lungs as my weak area. And I just ran a program on that for bacteria, and it took care of it. And then coughing or crying easily, like for some PMS symptoms when they're not at that time of the month. Depression, sadness, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I lift this? Can be from the detox of the Healy. Emotional irritability, extreme fatigue. I've had that where, like, I'm not going to stop running these programs. What else can I do? And I'm going to tell you that in the next screen, what you can do to push through these detox so you don't have to stop using the Healy, because I've had the fatigue and I've had the extreme fatigue. And we'll teach you what to do. Some people get headaches, some hormones can get off, lack of motivation, or you just can't get it together. Lethargy, having a migraine or mucus of any kind, anytime during the day. Neck pain, sleepless. Neck pain, by the way, can often relate, if it's not from an injury, to the liver. And it's been quite interesting how I've been able to get rid of chronic neck pain by detoxing the liver. Another thing can be sleeplessness. There have been some nights when I am totally insomniac, and that's not me. I never have that. And so it's more than likely just a detox from the Healy. I didn't drink enough water, or I didn't do something enough. And I just go through it. And then in the morning, I do an energy program or something to kick it through. Sore muscles, sore throat, being touchy, untypical insomnia. Another one that I didn't write on here would be like nausea. And I think I missed diarrhea too. Diarrhea or explosive diarrhea, we've seen those kind of things. So that I'll stop sharing at that moment. Michael, do you have anything you want to add to that?
You know, one of the things that I have dealt with is that because my body was so weak and because the toxin in my body was so strong, I experienced almost all of them. And my reaction was, I want that stuff out of my body. Whatever I have to do, I'm just going to do it. And what I have found is that there are ways of doing your lymph system and your circulation system and your hormones and all that, that lessen it so it isn't so severe to your body. That's the key.
Yep, perfect. Okay. So one of the things that now we're going to go into some of the things to do, and then Michael's going to answer some other questions. The to-do list, you can do some or all of them, but you know, the more severe somebody is, the more things we recommend they do. Like I've had very rare, but sometimes a couple people have really felt bad for days. And you really have to work with that and encourage them that this is your body. You have suppressed it for a long, long time, and the body is trying to heal. And that's why I'm teaching you this, and you can let them listen to this. You cannot hurt the body with the Healy. However, you can feel terrible with these programs if you are not living a healthy lifestyle, or you thought you were, and you really haven't done a lot of detox in your time. So I'm going to teach you now some things to do that I have found, because most of the time I get the pretty tough cases, but you can take them and use them, whatever, fits, you can think about doing. Okay, let's see. There we go. All right, what to do to move through a Healy detox quicker. The first and foremost is drink more water. This is electricity moving through your body, voltage. You cannot do a proper healing without the water carrying the voltage. So we recommend highly your weight in ounces. Now, if you have access to electrolyzed, reduced water, alkaline water, use it. If you have access to 11.5 electrolyzed reduced water, use it. This is very high in absorbing the toxins. And when we have somebody that's feeling really bad, we discovered in the brain camps that they could take like 8 ounces of that at a time and not feel bad. And when you're not feeling bad, that 11.5 detoxes your liver and it can make you throw up. So when you can handle 2 ounces every couple hours, you can even take a little more than that. It's because you're detoxing so much and it's eating it up. Another thing that really, really helps is a lot of organic fruits and vegetables. We're very fortunate to have summer now and a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables and gardens. Food combined all meals. If you want to know what that's like, you can go to my website. I've got a cookbook on it and an explanation on it and a video on it. How to food combine. Basically, don't eat meat with breads. Don't eat meat with potatoes. Don't eat meat with fruit. Those things jam up the system, and especially if you're in a detox, it's going to cause problems. Take trace minerals. Some of the best ones I find are from seaweed or like concentrated, like the Great Salt Lake. And then don't forget your macro minerals. They are extremely important, in my opinion, to have this program work better, because these help carry the voltage. Magnesium, I don't ever recommend it, tableted minerals. They don't digest properly. I use an angstrom form where they're pre-digested. Basically, as soon as they get into the body, they go right into the cells. And always calcium and magnesium, and in liquid, and in other cases, iodine, and some of the other minerals like sulfur. Another thing is to take amino acids. Amino acids come as a complex of all the main amino acids. And this is a lot, 8 to 10 amino acids, because protein is your major healer. And most people do not get enough protein. And one of the keys in healing, balancing the body and allowing it to heal, is giving it the right nutrition. And one of the best ways to get that is in pre-digested protein, which is amino acids. Right now, we're, using myself, I'm using 10 capsules, maybe a couple times a day. And that's what we're using for PTSD as well, because we've got to keep the protein high. We've got to keep the blood sugar high. And that's another thing. You've got to keep your blood sugar up. And I have found with blood sugar has always been one of my problems, that I did some of the programs for liver and spleen, pancreas, and it really helps the blood sugar. The other thing you can do, you can test for detox things. Like, you can just do it. You can do the bioenergetic balance 2 for toxins. You can do the gold release. You can do the meridians 2 for lymphatic. You can do what, Michael did. He just found some other programs. Or you can test the resonance and say, what do I need to detox? What do I need to feel better? There are some people in some cases that doing more is not better. And we will teach you down the road how to muscle test on how many you can handle a day. It's very important. Some people will say on the videos, you can handle 4 a day. I never start people on 4 a day. It's good to just start on 1 a day. And if you're not in a sync of doing a lot of these nutritional things, or haven't ever done detox, don't jump in and do 2 and 3 Healys a day. because it causes too much detox. And if you don't have good water and enough water, slow down. This is very powerful. Another way to help is to take Epsom salt baths. Don't be chintzy. Take 2 to 4 cups. And a thing I like to do is add essential oils like frankincense, peppermint, stress away, purification, valor. Basically, you can add whatever you want. And I don't do what the books say, 2 or 3 drops. I'll add 10 or 15 of each. Personal choice, but I find it's not a problem. So, and it's really a good idea if you're really stuck in detox and you are not able to handle very many Healys, that you get on a liver cleanse. And I can give you more information on that. But I've used a Juva Cleanse essential oil internally, 5 to 10 drops in a capsule 2 to 3 times a day. And then I put Juva Flex over the liver. And in addition, I have people do castor oil packs. I use an energy infused castor oil. It's called scalar castor oil. So again, we're using frequency to up the power of the healing of castor oil. And we use a type of iodine on top of the liver, and then we put the castor oil on, and then you can just do it as you put a wet pack over it like a wool cloth or a cotton cloth, and that really helps your liver detox. Another thing, and we'll eventually put this on the website, there's really quick, easy green drink with kale and apples and spinach and cucumbers, and it's real tasty. We want it to be tasty and not yucky. But drinking a fresh green drink, especially like in my garden right now, there's a lot of things like kale and lettuces and spinach and greens, and I'll just take them and throw them in and use them that way. And then what also we do is to drink a powdered green drink, 1 scoop 1 or 2 times a day. This is invaluable. When your energy is dipping, oh my goodness, this is huge. And then there's vitamins and things. But if you'll just follow some of these basic things, you're going to find great results in what's happening with your detox. Now, let's go into the don'ts, because some of those can be very important.
Oh,
They don't have it here.
what I'm looking for. What are you looking for? What are you looking for?
Okay, so the things that you want to be careful of is no alcohol. Now, we're not saying forever on the Healy, but you want to be careful when you're really moving with your health and you want to do more than 2 a day. Don't do alcohol, don't do sodas, don't do pork, don't do gluten, and no bread. Bread just clogs the system. It's just like glue. And no sugar or artificial sugars. And that includes honeys and even natural sugars, because you're going to get way faster healing in the digestive system if you don't have sugar. No peanut or peanut butters, no corn or corn additives, and most food like ketchups and modified starch and mayonnaise and every kind of condiment you could have usually has corn in it. So you really have to go to the health food store to buy those, or what I do is I make most of them myself. No hydrogenated oils. Use only the organic olive, or other organic unprocessed oils. No canola oils. I grow wheat and I have canola farmers around me, and even the farmers have said there's no good canola oil. It's all highly chemical, highly processed, and it's really hard for you. And I don't know why the health food industry puts it in most of their salad dressings, but stay away from them and make your own. Watch out for gum and breath mints that have artificial sugars and chemicals in them, and also toothpaste. So there's just a couple of them. And do not drink distilled water. That's not a healthy thing to do. And that will just be our brief summary of that. And then these will be available for you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Michael, get off a share screen here. And Michael is going to share with us some other, you have to unmute, Michael. Oh, I muted you, sorry. There you go.
Okay. A lot of people are getting their Healys, and
Michael, speak louder, please, or closer to your mic.
Okay, a lot of people are getting their Healys, and we're going to go through this really quickly. The first step is you have to go to the Apple Store. You go ahead and download the Healy, and the best way to identify which one you need it's a gray background with a pink dot. If you're going to do the analyzer program, because you have the residents, you get the analyzer for free. So go ahead and download that at the same time. When you open up your program, what you're going to find is that you start off with the gold program, and then it's going to tell you you have an update. So if you have a holistic or holistic plus or a residence, it'll then download all of those programs available to you. And so, you know, I encourage people to try and start with the gold, just because it balances all the organs. And try that because it's balancing the heart and the liver and the kidney and whatever. Now, when we go into the analyzer, understand that the analyzer is an encrypted program. Normally, when you put a password in, it's 4 to 8 digits. The analyzer master key is 200 to 300 digits. It is heavily encrypted. The reason for that is you don't want your personal information on the website, and you don't want your customers' information on the website. But understand that that process of first downloading that program is complicated. And it's more complicated when you try and do it on your iPhone. If you've tried to go into your back office and sign somebody up on the iPhone, you know, they scrunch everything in to get it on the screen, but there's a whole lot of things that you would normally see that you don't. And so it is much more difficult to actually install the analyzer. The big issue is they're going to give you a master key, and the master key has to be saved in 3 different locations. Understand that nobody can get in to your program, not the company, not anybody else. And if you're storing people on your program for analyzing, if you lose the program, you lose your cell phone, they're gone. You're going to have to do them all over again. And you don't want that to happen. So when you go into the program, it's going to ask you to save it. So save it on email. Save it in, it'll ask if you're allowed to do it in your back office. And it'll give you permission and save it somewhere there. If you don't have iCloud or some of those other things, go ahead, even though you don't have it, do Dropbox, because it's not going to let you through the process unless you've saved it 3 times. Once you've saved it and you go into the Healy program, you're going to see a screen, and at the top of the screen, it says client, and then it says list. You go ahead and click on the client, and it's going to ask you whether it's an individual or a house or an animal or all different kinds of things. And so most of the time, it's going to be an individual. You click on that and a screen will appear, and the individual then fills out all the form. Remember, what they're trying to do is make sure you are the customer. So you put in your email address. Sometimes they even put in a picture for you because they've scanned the net and they put in a picture, or you can put in your own. They do the birthday, they do all those kinds of things. Then you give, if you're doing it the first time yourself, you take the Healy in your right hand and you hold it. And then you go ahead and you scroll. When you're putting in all that information, you have to push on synchronize at the bottom, and then there's a check mark at the top. If you don't hit the check mark, it doesn't save it. And then you're going to have to go back and do it all over again. So hit the check mark, then it'll ask you if you want to do an analyzer. You say yes. It'll open up. It'll give you the option between analyzer and the Aurora. You put on the analyzer, you open it up, it's going to ask you to put a finger on the page. It shows the fingerprint, put it on the page. Now, the actual fingerprint, because when you're doing yourself, that's fine. When you're doing somebody else, the fingerprint doesn't make any difference, okay? Because what you're doing when you hold it in your hand is you are giving a frequency signature to the company. And that identifies the client, whether it's you or somebody else. And so when you do that, you push the button, it runs the analyzer, and it'll give you 5 programs that you need to run. The number that is associated with the program is how much you have to improve in that area. So when I started, because I had kidney problems, when I started, my kidney was, I think, 73, 74. That meant I had to improve my kidney by 73, 74%. Now my kidney runs about 41, 42. But each time you do it, it's going to give you those 5 different issues. And what I really want to stress is the Healy has scanned your body. The Healy knows what you need. You don't. Trust the Healy. Follow the plan, even though they'll give you 5 options, even though you're only going to be able to do maybe 1, 2, 3. The next day when you scan, what you're going to see is those that were on the top go down, and those that were on the bottom move up. So you know what you're doing. And when you do it with another person, you have a relative that comes to town, you do the Healy once, it does the signature, then whenever they would like a scan, you go ahead and you look up their name, you push the client, and even though you put your fingerprint on it, that is really sending the signature of that person, not you. And so it'll give them a reading. If you want to send them a text, you can do it. Just tell them over the phone, they have a Healy, maybe they buy a gold or a holistic or whatever, but you can do the analyzing. And when you do that, they know the direction that they need to do. So it's it works better if you can do it on an iPad. You can't do it on your computer. You can't do it on your laptop. But if you have an iPad that is the 4th or 5th generation, and you can pick up those on eBay and refurbished for $210. They're not real expensive. I just ordered another one for my wife. So you do that, and what it does is it gives you a big screen, 9 inches, rather than that little thing that you've got as a telephone. And it just makes the process go a whole lot quicker, even if you have to borrow somebody's iPhone or iPad to go ahead and do that. Because once you've set up the program, then you can go back to your phone, and the process of connecting to the internet will work, and it transfers. Now, one of the other things that is what happens with this program is that when you connect, it's connecting through artificial intelligence. The first time you do it, it takes a long time for the computer to totally identify you. And then each time you do it, it gets easier and easier and easier. And so now when I go in, I don't even have to turn on my Healy. I just open up the program, it opens up my Healy, turns it on, and I'm on. But what I have found is if I go to another location, the artificial intelligence saying, this isn't your IP address. And they're trying to go ahead and make it work, and it is a little more difficult to get your connection. And your home base is going to be real easy, but when you travel and whatnot and do demonstrations, understand it's going to take a little longer. It works, but it may take you 3, 4, 5 minutes to get it to work. And it's because the computer is trying to make sure, because it doesn't want to give your information out to anybody else. It wants to make sure you are who you are. And so that way the program works. It isn't complicated, but you have to follow the steps perfectly. And one of the things that Corrine mentioned that we're doing is I'm setting up a YouTube page that will have different categories. Welcome to Healy will be the first. The second would be, I got my Healy, now what? And there'll be 3 or 4 videos in there. And then we'll have training videos in there and testimonial videos and the weekly update from the company. We'll have all of the things, because I know it is very difficult to keep track of all the different videos, store them, and where did I do? What did I do with that one? And so you'll have a web page that is called Digital Frequency, and it's just for our organization. And so it's partially done now. It should be pretty good by tomorrow afternoon, and by Monday, it'll be something. We'll send out the link, so it'll be easy to get to it, and you'll be able to go through and say, what do I, there, you know, for example, on the very first, there's a 3-minute video, there's a 20-minute video, and there's an hour-and-a-half video. Now, the hour-and-a-half video is all about understanding the total system, how to go ahead and go through and troubleshoot and all those kinds of things. And if you're a leader, just doing the 2-minute or the 13-minute doesn't cut it. You really need to spend an hour-and-a-half to know to help your people. And so what I encourage is, when you get your box, you plug in your Healy, and it takes an hour-and-a-half to go ahead and be powered, to charge, excuse me. And the video happens to be an hour-and-a-half. So take the time, go through it. It's all of our leaders in the US putting together, Dr. Steve and the engineer and Terry, and you know, it's the whole team, and they go through every single detail. And as a leader, you should do that. And the other thing that is coming up is on Sunday, they're doing the second half, which will probably be another hour-and-a-half, and it's just on the residents. And that one is 1 o'clock Sunday Eastern time. I'm not going to be on it because I'll be in church, but they are recording it, and within 2-3 days we'll have it. And of course, we're going to put it on this website. So I think that pretty well covers it. We want to keep it short.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Now, I'm sure most of you are going, oh, but I have a question. Okay, now's your time to send those questions to me or Michael, and we will compile them. And every week we're going to be doing a training, and we don't want to belabor your trainings. We want to get to the point, make it valuable for you. There's many, many more things that I can train you in the field of just how to deal with these programs and protocols and things. So those will be forthcoming. So my email is nature, N-A-T-U-R, without the E, D-R, @gmail.com. So you can feel free to send me questions, send Michael questions. And these, if you are not on my email list, now some of you, maybe 5 or 6 people's emails are kicking back, and I have no way to contact you because your emails, for whatever reason, I don't have them right. So if you're on here, or your downline, those of you who are leaders, check with your downline and make sure that they're all getting this information, because you don't want to leave them hanging out there. People are excited about this. They want to get going. They want to share. We've got some great, great things to share with them and to share with the world. and let's keep the momentum going. Um,
One
so,
of the things that I have found as far as the email list, if you use an email and it's a company and it has the BBC, they don't allow it. So try and make it a personal email. And if you have to, go to Gmail or whatever and just create another one, because we get a lot of those bounce back and it causes us real problems because they think we're spamming because we get so many rejections.
yep. And I'm getting a lot where I'm going to probably have to go to constant contact to get it, or get these out to you. But that's okay. We'll take everybody that wants information. We'll do what we need to do to get it to you and to help you. So God bless you all. And use your upline for three-way calls. Don't try to talk to people by yourself. Whether it's your best friend or whether it's your doctor or whether it's your neighbor. You know, we've sent out, and we have a little training of what to send people. You can ask for that again. That will be something we'll also put on the website, but don't ever just send to people and say, hey, what do you think of this? No, you call first and say, I'm going to send you something. Will you listen to it? Tell them a little bit about Healy, and then send them some things, and then make an appointment to follow up. I still see people doing just, and you know, we probably need to run the program on fear on ourselves when we do this. Like, well, I just hope and pray that they'll see this and they'll be excited as I do. Well, they need to hear it in your voice. They need to be accountable to you, to to look at it, and to you to follow up for them. So we're going to be keeping on teaching you those kind of things. Next week, we're going to teach you the compensation plan. And I know there have been questions, so send in your questions to me and we'll get them all compiled, and we will get on and answer those for you, because there's a way that you can be putting your people and positioning them now that is going to be mean you're either going to have more income or less
And
income.
I don't use call you.
So we're going to have that
How
available.
do I know when you put your phone on?
Oops, we're going to
How
have
do
to
you
do
know?
that.
How do I know when you put your?
Okay.
Dr. Allen, are you going to address the placement of people next
Yes.
week?
Ask your questions. You betcha. That will be, just put your questions in an email and send it over, and we will make sure we address those. So thank you all. Bless you all. Have a wonderful evening. And those of you that have your Healy, get another Healy session in, because you're going to love it. I'm going to go do mine now. So God bless everybody. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.